How much money do I need to fill a pool full of Jello?
Probably
I
not a
don't know,
lot.
probably like $80. Lore Boys here, finishing off with some fun facts about the Forerunner in our 5th foray into Halo's fiction. My name is Peter O'Donohue, formally resigning my position as the Halo lore master on the show. I've mentioned it in the past, I'm not particularly fond of Halo Infinite or any of the new stuff, so I'm going to be checking out. I am resigning. I was fired by, politicians, whatever a resignation is.
Chaster me fired him, so...
Yeah, so I'm putting a bullet in the meme, so don't at me. But if one of you two ever wants to take over, that is fine. That being said, the beauties who paid for this swan song are the patrons Raw Dog McGraw, Jesterful, and Saucy, with backup from Han Dolo, who, while not financially invested, is definitely emotionally invested. So
I mean, Han Dolo, credit to him, great guy, loves to just thumb up other people's ideas in the lore request channel, just so often seconded.
Those four people are probably some of our most prominent chatters in
for sure
in the Discord. Yeah.
And then and Han is
and
just
the rest
freeloading hype man, right? Yeah. And yeah, exactly. And then you've got Saucy, Jester, Raw Dog, Han, and Hufflepuff. There we go.
My name's James, and this is Ethan.
That's what I was gonna say. Taking on the mantle of responsibility from me are Ethan Palmer and James Miller.
I mean, I was saying before we started this episode, I don't remember any of our other Halo episodes. I doubt it'll be me who takes on the mantle.
Yeah. I've played a lot of Halo Infinite since the last time we've done a Halo episode. My proudest moment was a few games ago. I was playing Tactical Slayer. That means no one has shields and everybody has a BR, no grenades.
Yeah, we used to call it SWAT.
SWAT.
Fucking boomers out there.
Yeah. But basically one shot, if you hit the head, they just die. And I came around a corner and I got all four of the folks, Brett. It said overkill on my screen. And I felt like I was really powerful in that moment. But
yeah,
sitting at my computer all slumped sideways. But
yeah. My proudest moment was probably when I saw a doe giving birth on the side of the road and I pulled over and I delivered the fawn into my hands.
Okay. Yeah. And then the fawn looked at you and was like, Kilimanjaro. So we've covered a lot of Halo here, and we've all played a lot of Halo. My assumption when writing the intro to this of my official resignation from Halo Lore Master, I was like, Jamie's gonna take over because he's balls deep in Infinite. So any of the Banished or the Endless or any of the new fake aliens that just keep getting stapled onto the stapled onto the bill that's delivered to Congress basically is just he can take care of that shit. I'm covering the classics and I'm putting the lid on the jar, baby. We're doing it. So because we've talked about a lot of Halo, I guess Ethan, you don't remember anything, but since we're covering the Forerunner, maybe you'd like to guess at some Forerunner information before Jamie gets into it here.
This is so because I did play a lot of Halo 1, 2, 3, and I definitely played each of the campaigns to completion a lot of times, and I played a lot more multiplayer of Halo 3 for sure.
Yeah.
But it's really feeling like it's one of those stories that just my brain doesn't like it and it just keeps bouncing off because I have no memory of who the Precursors are, but I know they're a thing. No memory of who the Forerunners are, or definitely not what the distinction between them is. I remember the Covenant. I remember Halo 1, you're fighting the Covenant. Hell yeah, that was easy. Second one, I remember, there's a schism in the Covenant. So Master Chief joins up with Urgelberg, the Covenant
Arbiter.
Guy. The Arbiter.
Urgelberg, yes.
Yeah. And that's
Steve Urgelberg, where he snaps
off a cliff, right? He goes. So you join up with him and you end up fighting this other faction that is led by a guy sitting in a floating chair with a long neck, who I don't remember what his race is or what his deal is. precursor to the chicken, I assume. And they're somehow tied to the grunts in Halo 3 when they make like a new religion, and there's like a, they're driving the Covenant out of the Covenant actions, I guess. But that's all I know. And then I know that you meet like the librarian who's like the little floating, what is it, Watley from Portal 2 or whatever?
Wetley, yes.
Wetley, the guy voiced by John Oliver. And it, like, similar to that, you meet this person who takes you on this tour of all these like ancient constructs, and there was this weapon called the Flood that they would release, and the Halo rings are to destroy all the Flood, but all life in the universe also at the same time, maybe. And that's no idea how much of that is right. That's all I got.
Yeah, I remember.
A lot of the kernels are there, so that's good. That being said, Jamie, what do you remember about Halo? Other than your multi-kills, baby.
I remember baloney people.
I liked seeing like Jamie's like fingers like grab for his like ghost air guitar frets there because he knows how to play it properly.
I mean, he's actually a guitarist. Yes.
Yeah, exactly, because he knows what he's doing. I was just like, oh yeah, let's go, boys.
When I tune into Drop D, I've sometimes played that like like thinking I'm just diddling around, and then I'm like, oh wait, no, that's the Halo theme that just lives in my brain. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I remember the baloney people that were like stealing children and like growing them into big old soldiers and leaving behind baloney people that die of disease and stuff, and people are like, oh, my kid dead, but really he's a super soldier.
Yeah.
I remember that the super soldiers like run real fast. That's why you don't have a sprint button. They're like tall as hell. Like a normal person would be like this, as tall as a grunt. We just don't get that scale from the Halo universe.
That tall? Don't you meet the Marines though? Are you mixing them up with the Astartes? Because the Astartes are like 12 feet tall.
I saw a post on Reddit the other day of
like 7 something, I think, like height wise.
Someone was unless this person was really short, they were visiting like some type of like Microsoft event, and they had like scale grunts, scale Spartans, and everything. And the person in the photo is as tall as the grunt, not as tall as the Spartan. Maybe it's a really small person.
It does say, grunt's 5'6".
Okay.
Oh, that is my height.
That's their tallest. Shortest, they're 4.5, so 4'6". So they're short people.
We're much closer to like the tallest grunt than a super soldier.
Yeah, no, I mean I'm the same height as like your tallest grunt basically, and frankly, if the guy in charge of my unit was shot in the head, I would also panic.
Yeah,
frankly.
Yeah, so this says the Spartan 4, the shortest of the Spartans, is 6'9", but it seems to be in their reinforced endoskeleton. Oh no, endoskeleton's inside, right?
No, so endo is out. The endoskeleton.
No, exo is out.
Is inside. That's true. Yeah. I thought the Spartan 4s, though, we have an episode about the Spartans, not to detour too hard here before we get into it. I thought the Spartan 4s were not augmented in the same way, if we talked about it, because they're not like kidnapped children, like Buck and Sarah Palmer are all like adults who chose to become Spartans.
I'm not sure, but it actually does go on to say fully armored. So they're fully armored in like, their 2-inch platform boots with their extra 1.5 inches on top of their helmet. So he's 6'9", so probably closer to 6'5". I'm technically closer to a Spartan 4 than I am to a grunt, the tallest grunt.
Yeah, you're the tallest of the lore boys too.
True. You gotta give it to me. I'm the Spartan 2 of the lore boys. If we were all one of the Spartan classes, I'm Spartan 2, the tallest. Jamie would be Spartan 3. Peter bringing up the rear with Spartan 4.
A funny thought.
God damn it.
I upgraded you from grunt, dude. Come on. You gotta give me something.
I know. It's better.
A funny thought, though, is to get used to their high heels that they have to wear in the suit, is that they put full suits and do, like, they vogue on the catwalk to get ready for it. Like, imagine a Mark IV just, like, hitting those beats at the end of the catwalk, then turning around.
7 and 10 children do not survive the catwalk, is, I think... is the brutality of it.
Yeah.
Plasma never changes.
But yeah, so anyway, in summary, the Forerunner, the subject of today's episode, are an extinct humanoid race within the Milky Way galaxy. They tend to be taller than the average Ethan. Actually, they're a larger race. And they kind of have like a grayish skin and very flat faces. Their noses don't poke out like ours do. They just have like the slits between their eyes.
Voldemort.
Yeah, they're very gross. It's like more of like an alien gray sort of thing, but yeah, like a very flat alien face. Look, I guess in like making human alien design, I know we may have mentioned this before. I was told at some point there's like certain classifications of fiction aliens, and one of which is known as the forehead alien, which is like a Star Trek like makeup room term, where like the alien race is just like, oh yeah, this planet, and then like the easiest part to make up of an actor was just their forehead. So like a forehead alien is a mostly humanoid kind of alien that is just like like a Klingon, basically.
Yeah, the
or like
Klingons and the Romulans.
Spock has pointy ears, right?
Yeah, so like Spock, a Vulcan, Vulcans have pointy ears and a specific haircut.
Yeah.
Romulans have pointy ears, the same specific haircut, and then also just like a slight ridge in the middle of their forehead. And that's how you tell a Romulan from a Vulcan.
Yeah.
So far we have the Precursors, the Forerunners, and the Foreheaders.
Yeah, exactly.
Got it.
Yeah, this episode is specifically about the foreheaders, but and they are a forehead alien. I don't remember the other terms, but I remember it was brought up like at some point, like the character design of Mass Effect, because they're all rigged onto the same digital skeleton. Every Mass Effect alien is a forehead alien. Even the Krogans, like the potato lizards, are like rigged around the same kind of humanoid skeleton. They just put a bunch of shit on top, so everybody's kind of the same width, but just like different heights.
Those are on sale right now. I almost picked them up. I've never played the Mass Effect games.
They're on Game Pass, dude.
Okay.
1 and 2, fantastic. Never finished 3.
Okay.
There's aspects of 3 that are great, and like honestly, like I know where that trilogy could have ended and it could have been perfect, but it's not about this. So
Okay. Got it.
I know when Halo should have fucking ended, and it was way before any of the garbage that I'm about to talk about. So let's get into it.
Okay, yeah. So wait, I guess can you say before we, or are you going to say this? But like, where does this lore come from? Like, when was this canonized? Because I know this isn't Halo 1 shit, right?
Game wise, books, Halo 4, like.
Okay, so this is all past 3.
Yeah, it's really like I like Halo 4. A lot of it, it's not fucking worth it. Like frankly, like it is so it is like so much of the stuff we're going to talk about is hundreds of thousands of years prior to like anything happening, that it does not matter. These characters might as well be fucking dinosaurs in like the conversation about like modern politics. They have nothing to do about anything. It is so disconnected. It's cool. And like we're gonna get into some neat shit, but like 4 books, that's about it. Some of the characters from Halo 4 are relevant to the Forerunner saga, basically. But it certainly isn't like OG trilogy plus Reach, which is is a shit that I get horny over. Personally.
I'm just trying to prepare myself to not try and like pin things to what those few fragments that I do know, to not try overly hard to pin it to those, you know.
It's a lot of post what you've played retconning, so actually try maybe, because it does like kind of try to give meaning to like some of the things that you might remember. So, and
Halo 4 takes place after, right? Like chronologically?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Halo 4 does take place like the Halo numbered games, like CE 2, 3, 4, 5, Infinite are in that order. Like they come out chronologically.
Best part about Infinite is the rocket launcher is called a spanker.
Yeah, it is. M14 spanker.
M14 spanker available.
But like going back to the forehead alien thing, the Forerunner themselves look different. Like they kind of look the same as they're growing up, but depending on their role within society, which is like kind of a caste system called rates, they do get a series of mutations to kind of better fit their role and end up looking different. But we'll get into the caste system later on. Forerunner technology is focused around hard light and data storage. Hard light is most easy to recognize as like the laser bridges that you can kind of discover in all of the Halo games. as well as the projectiles fired from the weaponry in Halo 4 and 5.
I thought it was going to be some type of diet alcoholic lemonade or something. Hard light.
Yeah, no, it's Mike's Hard Light Bridge. Exactly.
I'd try it.
Oh yeah, man, I get fucked up. I get fucked up on it like one night, and then like the sugar hangover is way worse than the booze hangover.
Yeah.
So like you just never,
The aspartame hangover from the hard light. Yeah,
it's light.
I'm
Great
an
for bridge
aspartame
night,
bitch, dude. Sorry.
Great for bridge night, you know.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Bridge night with
All the ladies at the old folks home.
Gladys and Ethel. Oh boy, we get turned up on that shit.
Gladys and Ethel turn up on the hard light.
Gladys and Ethel alcohol or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So the entire species of the Forerunner, so Gladys et al., were all like they were seeded onto the planet of Gebob 15 million years ago by the Precursors, which are an even more ancient race of the word before that we talked about a lot more in the Flood episode, because they're basically are the Flood, I guess. Like, just listen to that one. If you don't want to check that episode out, however, the gist of it is that the Precursors, like as a defense mechanism, evaporated into like a parasitic mist when the Forerunner tried to exterminate them.
Right.
And then like the mist expired and turned into the Flood. So instead of reconstituting into their regular forms, they became the Flood, which is like
I do remember that now.
yeah, it's the whack ass sci-fi that somebody thought was just like, well, how could we possibly explain the Flood? And it's just like, well, what if Cthulhu was a fog, and that fog went bad, and that's pretty much like kind of how that came about. So the planet Gabolb is specifically in the Orion arm of the Milky Way, which is roughly 1,500 light years away from Earth, which is, of course, 1.5522 E plus 17 football fields, just in case anybody...
E to the 17.
Every time you throw an E in there, like, I just think really, really big, because I can't conceptualize anything now.
Yeah, E to the 17 is inconceptually big.
Yeah. Like, normally I say that's like to the power of, or like exponent 17, but I, like, when researching this one, I didn't know if that was actually true, so I just, like, I'm reading it straight as E plus 17. I don't know if, like,
you guys scientific actually know? Notation. I don't know. Ethan did the most math out of all of us, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've never seen the notation E plus. Usually it's E little chapeau.
Yeah, it's a chevron basically for an exponent, right?
Yeah. Never seen E plus 17. Like E Euler's constant is a low constant, so E plus 17 would be like 9 something. I think it's like 2 point. So I doubt it's that number of football fields.
Not when we're talking about light years, but yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, I don't know if we're going to address it, but I'm notably drunker than I was 2 minutes earlier in this podcast, so I don't know what these numbers mean. We had to take an almost hour break here, but
yeah, we did have a plumbing emergency over at Casa de Ethan, and then Jamie and I kept drinking while he was gone. So if there's a noticeable shift in tone, that's what happened.
Yeah, Peter started talking about the flood, and I had a flood in my basement, so we dealt with it. And Jamie and Peter experienced a flood of alcohol into their veins.
Yeah, I played a full round of Vampire Survivors and beat the game for the second time ever in like 20 hours of gameplay too. So,
it was awesome.
Yeah. So thank you, Ethan, for having your house flood so I could have this victory in my small Flash game. Yeah.
When are the Lore Boys going to make a game, dude? We're obviously going to make a Metroidvania because all three of us love them. Like, what's going on?
Yeah. What would our upgrades be? There'd be clam juice. There'd be a corn of cob, a cob corn.
No, clam juice is going to be our G Fuel is going to be Clamato Caesar.
Okay.
I mean, the problem with us developing a game is really we're all talentless hacks, and we all work in just middle management positions for that reason, and none of us have the capability of coding. Or Pete could maybe get away with like high level concept design, I feel like, but if it came to like actually drawing images in an Unreal Engine, maybe he falls short with his current skill set. But
I'm gonna say you're probably right.
yeah.
But as 3 middle managers, think of the geeks we could delegate, dude. Like, come on, it's great.
Mad Max. You want this on your resume? You could be the coder for the Lore Boys game.
From Metroidvania.
Provided our game is not a broken piece of trash, I think I can push 90 to 95% customer satisfaction for when they do have problems with the game.
Yeah,
so that's my whole thing. But
I can set this up with the QA process. I can set up the test plan, no problem. Don't worry about it. But
yeah, I coordinate the FX team for Pinocchio, for Christ's sake. Like, let's go. Let's do it.
So we have a customer service team, a testing team, and a visual effects team, but nothing about gameplay. So it'll just.
So we have like part of a visual effects team. I'm coordinating effects specifically, like nothing about animation. So if we have a bunch of still images that rocks can crumble around, these guys got it. Like,
dude, we just witnessed 30 minutes of Vampire Survivors, which looks like N60 or not even like NES garbage, like, and it still is very fun. I think we can find the dopamine hits, so we'll figure it out.
Yeah. I'm sure we all know what we like exactly.
I mean, the three of us together, everyone could admit, would put together a banger script. At the very least, we can we can slap together a script. Now, the downside would be the script would be due so that they could develop the game, and we would all write it in the hour leading up to whenever it was due.
Right.
Like the three of us would get together and be like, "Oh shit, we actually got to do this thing," and just slap it all right. Might be a bit last minute, but it'd be okay.
It'd be serviceable. B plus podcast.
Yeah.
Gebob. Actually, on this note, it's a good little segue here. Gebob was once an A+ place to live. The planet that the Forerunner were originally seeded onto. But it was rendered uninhabitable during an experiment involving something called stellar engineering. Stellar engineering is the term for the construction of superstructures like the Halo arrays, the Ark, or Onyx, which was like an artificial planet, which we have talked about, and there's like an entire book called, I think, Ghosts of Onyx or something. It's an entire planet made of trillions of robots, basically.
Okay. Wait, sorry. Having the hand bomb water out of my sump pump. We're talking about the Forerunners this episode, not the Precursors. The Precursors were the fungus people who turned into spores and created the flood.
Yes.
And the Forerunners were seeded on Gabolb?
Yes.
Okay. Seeded by whom?
The Precursors.
Okay, so the Precursors precursed the Forerunners, who foreran the rest of the races.
Yeah, I mean it's gonna be difficult, and with Infinite they've added the Endless now, so they really kind of just like stack.
Oh, they're at the other end. They're both ends, right?
Yeah, they just keep stacking like new Stonehenges on top of the old Stonehenge. It's like, ooh, how could this possibly happen? Shit, like
we are at 3 Stonehenges high in the Halo canon right now.
At time of writing, we're at 3 Stonehenges. Yeah, exactly. I know, like, because this, of course, like we didn't anticipate you needing to renovate midway through a bit, but. Yes, that's what we're talking about.
It was just all a euphemism. Peter's voice flooded Ethan's basement. Wink, wink. No,
yeah.
Yeah.
Peter's wet voice flooded my basement.
That's
wet ass voice. Ben Shapiro hates him.
I was gonna say, yeah, that's probably a medical condition if you ask someone who knows facts and logic. Yeah.
The doctor says you shouldn't have a wet ass voice. It's unhealthy.
Yes.
I have a very wet ass voice.
I'll export this one in a WAV file, not an MP3 file.
Yeah. No, it's an MP3.
Wet ass voice. Yeah.
Honestly, if Ben wants to come on the show and talk about Halo, we'll ridicule him for 65 minutes, and that'll be great.
He would never come on.
Come on, Ben. Do it. Do it, Benny boy.
Dude. Do it, pussy. Well, actually, my wife, the doctor, says I'm not a pussy.
I think you'll notice that I'm actually quite dry. Explain that, liberals.
Turning point, tiny Ben Shapiro face.
Yeah.
How could you say that pussies are wet, but also that I am a pussy when I am, in fact, quite dry?
So, yeah, Stellar. The like Gabolb was ruined during like during a failed experiment, basically.
Sorry, did we find out why the Forerunners the Precursors? This is gonna fuck me up all day. Why the Precursors seeded them there? Like, were they just going around like seeding life? Were they the ones that put humans in a place?
Yeah, the precursors are like, we covered this a lot more in the Flood episode.
Yeah,
and I didn't put a bunch of it into this episode. And again, like the non-video game versions of Halo's fiction is not excellent. It is very much like whoever wrote this was just like, oh no, H.P. Lovecraft invented sci-fi in the 80s. And then, like, I just, like, went from there. So they're very much like an ancient alien bug race from outside of the fucking galaxy who created life and then, like, shaped its whatever, like, directed its development, and then the Forerunners got too big for their britches and killed them all. And as an escape plan, the precursors turned into, like, atoms that expired that then became corrupted and became the Flood.
Gotcha.
Which, again, we have a whole episode about that shit, but like the weird recap in the middle of our like busted up Ethan's basement flooded thing here is like very much like the precursors seeded life into the Milky Way, and like the Forerunners are one of the primary ones who are going to be covering here. Yeah.
I think better names would have done a lot for both of them. But
Precursor Forerunners fucking me up. I'm not gonna lie.
I better, not just better names. I think two different words. They're synonyms.
Yeah.
They literally mean the same thing.
Harbingers, beforecomers.
The precumers, dude. Like, come on.
Precumers seeding the galaxy.
But the Harbinger is the villain of Infinite, and she's some kind of octopus woman.
Oh, there is a Harbinger.
Yeah, the Harbinger is in Halo Infinite, and she is the Harbinger of the Endless, which is again just like a kind of cool sounding English word that fucking means nothing. It like in the grand scheme of the whole like sci-fi arc, right?
Every race is like named after, hey, something's coming, but nothing ever comes. It's just always, hey, something's coming after us, and you better watch out for. And then nothing ever does. It's just the next one is also like Grubhub delivering your fucking chicken salad. It's just like, no, but the next meal, you better watch out. It's gonna be big, and it's egg salad, and you're like, okay.
Yeah. It's just like it's stacks on stacks on stacks on stacks on stacks, and it's just like constantly raising the stakes, meaning every time the stakes are raised, it means nothing.
Meaningless. Yeah.
It's complete. Yeah.
I forgot what we were talking about, but all I want is some chicken salad and play some Halo right now, man.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, that's how Microsoft wins. Bill Gates owns all the chicken farms. Don't you even know that?
Hey, he did buy a ton of farmland in India.
Yeah, millions of acres, also in the States. Yeah.
Yeah.
Why?
Because he's evil.
I mean, he wants to preserve it, but he wants to stop it from being developed for cities and stuff.
Yeah,
is what he says. Who knows? Who knows the mind of a billionaire? Exactly. They're talking about like dismantling a like 700-year-old bridge in Holland to allow not Bill Gates, but Jeff Bezos' super yacht to pass through.
Oh, I saw that trending today. Yeah. What the fuck?
They're all monsters.
We are 6 months away from someone being like, nah, you know what? Honestly, I don't like my beachfront property getting too wet, so we need to blow up the moon to get rid of the tide.
Yeah, exactly.
How much money do I need to fill a pool full of Jello?
Probably not a lot.
Probably like $80.
Wait, are you paying for the pool, or are you just like hijacking someone's pool for this?
Well, I think the hard part's going to be getting like the hot up to the right hot, and then the cold down to the right cold, so it makes the Jello, right?
So you don't want to do it with a pool, you want to do it with a hot tub. And we're Canadian winters, so...
No, I want to dive straight in, and I want to see if I can swim to the top, or if I sink to the bottom and drown a Jello-y death.
No, like, listen, Jamie, I know we're way off track here for a second.
Could you imagine?
If you did that, I would watch, and I would not try and help you, and you would be like the mosquito in the amber from Jurassic Park.
Yeah. Jamie. I grew up in a very atheist household, okay? I would consider myself somewhat agnostic. I'm very skeptical of like God, religion, pearly gates, anything like that.
Sure.
Me too.
But could you imagine if it turns out that it's true and you're meeting your maker and you're standing in front of God and he's just like, so why'd you do it?
I really like the blue raspberry flavor that you just can't find everywhere these days.
I'd like to follow this up while we're completely off the rails here. Before we get back into Halo, Ethan, when you and I die and we meet our maker and Jamie's standing there and God says, "Why'd you guys let him do it?"
I mean,
I want to see what happened. I like Jurassic Park and I like Blue Raspberry, dude. And Jamie wanted to do both.
Could you
I
dive
asked
in?
him, like, what would he say to you, God? And he said, I like blue raspberry. So I said, fuck it. Okay, let's do it then. Huh? I'll buy the Jello.
Could you dive in? Like, would you like go, like, water slows you down when you dive, right? Like, Jello I just like shoot through the Jello and like break my arms and neck at the bottom, or what? Like
I think you'd probably go in like a J shape.
Oh, like my name. And like Jello.
Yeah, that was the point. Like, that's why they called it that.
Okay.
That's why they called it Jello. Originally, it was used by Olympic divers to soften the landing from 80 feet up.
Yeah, the Olympic pools in the 1880s had like a substrate of Jello, but eventually they discovered it was edible.
If you were going to J though, like from like the 80-foot high dive or whatever, it would just become a U. You would like pop right out the other side. You know what I mean? The amount of energy going in. Whoop.
Yeah,
You would fall back down, you land back in the Jello, and you would like slowly make smaller and smaller loops. It's like the
would it be like the balance
suicide
board?
coaster? Oh. We're talking about different things here. But there's like a suicide coaster that somebody proposed as like a euthanasia device, which is a roller coaster that just goes through one like giant loop and then like sufficiently like smaller and smaller and smaller loops.
Yeah.
The human body can't handle the G-forces. So it's just like, if you ever wanted to die on a roller coaster with 19 other people, this is the fucking ride at Disney World for you.
I know we're way off the rails, but you guys heard of that Action Park thing in the States? Like that crazy ass fucking... So
Johnny Knoxville made a movie about it.
Yeah. So they had this one super long water slide with a really tight loop that's not elongated, just like a perfect circle right at the end. And apparently people would hit 8 Gs. And...
They would double fucking F-17 fighter like experience.
They wouldn't clean it out either, so there'd be a bunch of rocks and shit right at the bottom because it wouldn't make it all the way around the loop. So you would be going like superhuman speeds, completely rip open your skin, and then do an 8G loop and get shot out into a kiddie pool or something on the other side.
Like, oh my fucking god, dude.
Oh, fantastic. Action Park lore win.
Yeah, we should.
Fucking next week, let's go. Let's do that. Thankfully, despite the fact that like this is like a bunch of wacky shit because we're like an hour since Ethan's basement flooded. The experiment that we're talking about is not entirely like the experiment that would doom us all, basically, that would kill us, is not irrelevant, thankfully, because the particular experiment that the Forerunner had done, they were trying to manipulate some of the stars that were in their kind of local cluster, using, of course, their stellar engineering. And they forgot to clip the green wire or the blue wire or whatever, and caused multiple stars to kind of chain reaction supernova into each other.
What happens if we IV drip Mike's Hard Lemonade into the sun, baby?
Sounds like less than stellar engineering to me.
But yeah, it's like they forgot to eject their USB out of the sun. Basically, it's just like no, you can't do it that way.
You can't do it that way.
But yes, they put too much Mike's Hard Lemonade into several stars, which all went supernova and eradicated most of the species living on Gebob. The detonation of these stars almost wiped out everybody. However, thanks to like some good old-fashioned fucking, they managed to repopulate and move the seat of their interstellar empire called the Ecumen to a more radical-sounding planet called the Maythrillion, which is very cool.
It may be thrillion.
Yeah, it's fun.
There's like a centipede Pokemon from I think Black and White, whose real name I can't remember. I just remember my nickname for him was the Thrillipede because his middle evolution is just like a wheel.
How do you the Pokemon in later generations? Like there is an actual like ice cream cone Pokemon, right?
Yeah, it's Vanillux.
Oh my god, the name makes it worse.
It's that line, yeah.
How do you spell Ecumen?
Ecumene.
Okay, so it's a word. I was curious.
Ecumenical is a term as well.
Why not ecumenical? You know.
Yeah, right.
With an X instead of the final E.
So ecumen means, or ecumene, however you say it, means the permanently inhabited portion of the earth as distinguished from the uninhabited or temporarily inhabited area. So it means like they'd be moving into a place that's like already inhabited, it sounds like. It literally means inhabited land.
It's country mouse versus city mouse.
Yeah, exactly. They were country mice
Ecumen and city Ecumen.
Yeah, they're transitioning from country mouse to city mouse.
Exactly.
It could also mean the nuclear area or center of maximum activity of a state, having the densest population and the closest network of transportation routes. So it literally means like urban hub.
Yeah, it's like all of Halo is what is the coolest word for a very boring thing.
Yeah, they reverse engineered their story by picking a bunch of cool words. They had like a cork board and some red string, and then like a bunch of cool words that they pinned to it and said, "How do we get from here to here, guys?"
Yeah,
how do we get from Harbinger to Ecumen, baby?
Yeah,
brace yourself, feet, because the last time I did one of Juicy's things and I just like kind of shrugged stuff off, I got like walls of text in Discord. So you're about to get so many Halo corrections.
Come at us, Fitty. Come at us.
Yeah, like 1, come at me. 2, the best part about clearing notifications, you just need to click on the chat and then you can close the app. Who gives a shit?
Yeah, I love Juicy, but I did not read what he sent me.
Yeah, it turns out he was giving you all the Vampire Survivors lore you could ever want.
Oh man! Oh hell yeah!
So after the establishment of the Ecumen and moving the capital planet, basically, of the Empire to Mithrilian, Shred Sweet Nar, they fought a series of civil wars called the Cradal conflicts, or maybe it's pronounced Cradle, but it is Kradal. So it's either they misspelled it to make it seem sci-fi, or it's called Cradal.
I like Cradal.
Yeah, the Cradal conflicts took place near the center of the galaxy, which is pretty cool. It made me think about like wanting to replay Mass Effect 2. You said
Cradal, and I thought Krogan. So
yeah, well, because like the collector base is at the center of the galaxy, right?
Yeah,
in like the ruined shipyard, which is all really cool.
I thought of like
massive black hole.
I thought of a network of secretive babies that were running everything from their
Cradal. The sinister Cradal.
Yeah, QAnon is very concerned with what the Cradal is doing instead of the Cabal. The more like modern culture of the Forerunner is dominated entirely by the mantle of responsibility, which we have talked about in the past on our previous Halo episodes. So I'm not going to go into too much detail about it right now. It's a philosophical concept originally passed down to humanity by the Precursors. Cortana in Halo 5 would eventually claim that AI deserved the mantle of responsibility, but she like dies off screen between games, so who gives a flying fuck?
Right.
Yeah. That's why I quit. Basically, it's just like all the cool shit happens between Halo 5 and Infinite, and it's just like Master Chief pretty much doing what we do. Like Infinite's story is very much like Master Chief reading wiki posts about a potentially cooler game. And I'm just like, nice, all right, grappling hook's cool, whatever.
Yeah, and it's way cooler to experience the game than to hear somebody read the wiki page, is what Pete's saying.
Yes, exactly. Turn this off.
I haven't played Infinite Campaign, but I want to. Like, I like the multiplayer enough that I feel like just going and clicking on heads that don't have a person on the other side of the screen would be fun too.
I mean, like Kyle, my buddy Kyle, or like Merble Skidoo on the server. Like I drove him around and we ran a bunch of errands yesterday, and he was talking about playing it. He's like stuck on the final boss, who is like the octopus lady, and he's like dyed in the wool hardcore Halo guy.
Yeah.
And he's into it, like, and like put up with the Far Cry-ification of Halo.
That's it.
And says it's good, but there are a bunch of questions, like, where did literally every single character from the previous game go?
Yeah. I don't expect it to live up to like what Halo 3 my first playthrough was, like change my life as a young teenager, but like
Yeah.
but as of like I'm done work and I just want to like click on some heads and go through some shit, like it's probably better than a lot of the other stuff out there. But,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah,
It is good.
Yeah, Pete said early on that, like, if you just like keep ratcheting up the potential outcomes, and kind of leave us with the sense of like, oh, there's always a bigger fish kind of in the galaxy.
Yeah.
Is like true that it does remove meaning, but at the same time, like the first time you destroy a Covenant Scarab is like epic, and then by the time you're disabling the 13th one in Halo 3, you're like, I fucking hate this. I want to stop doing this now.
You gotta shoot for the
like,
knees.
Ditch on the Ark in the desert, and you have to fight like 3 at the same time. Is like one of the most cheesable fucking like miserable experiences, because you just park the Scorpion behind that like pyramid thing in the middle, or there's like stone cage, and you just like back up, shoot them, and then like park, right?
Yeah.
Oh, guys, I might have to pick up Game Pass and go play that right now. I let my sub just like go away, but yeah, it sounds fun.
I'm a big Game Pass stan. Yeah. I still have it. I've been getting my money's worth.
Pete's just saying that because he sold farmland to Bill Gates.
Hey, whoa! I did.
Every month for the price of Game Pass, you could buy Vampire Survivors 5 times.
Well, which billionaire are we supporting? Okay, Jamie. Bill Gates?
Devs of the what I assume are Slavic devs of Vampire Survivor. Or Bill Gates.
Or Bill Gates.
How many times a year? What's 5 times 12? That's at least 100.
It's not even close, but most of the way there.
Some would say 6/10 of the way there.
Yeah.
It's close.
Bill Gates would tell you 6/10 of the way there.
I don't trust that guy.
Good. Getting snubbed at the kind of like responsibility Oscars led to the Precursor Forerunner War, which was that's when the Precursors evaporated into their mist as like a self-defense thing that eventually became the Flood. Then there was the Human Forerunner War, after the Forerunners went to war with ancient humanity, which we covered in another episode. And then there was the like Forerunner Flood War, which led to the first firing of the Halo rings. And that caused like the extinction of the Forerunner overall. The Forerunner interpreted the mantle of responsibility differently rather than both the Precursors and the humans that it was originally passed to. They firmly believed that the only qualification one needed to become the Milky Way's, what is essentially like a benevolent dictator, was the best technology. And the Forerunner were more technologically advanced than the other sentient races of the time, which the time that we're talking about now is fucking meaningless because it's like 10 million years ago.
Is the Skewer a people gun, a flood gun, or a covenant gun? It's a people gun, right?
Seems like a people gun.
No, the Skewer's a banished gun, which is like the brutes, and it is.
It's basically a gun, basically the sniper
it's a harpoon,
that has.
It's a harpoon gun, yeah.
It's like a 4-shot nail gun that'll kill someone with 1 shot from like. Yeah.
No, that's the Mangler. Is the revolver?
No. I'm thinking of the Skewer. The Skewer's got 4 shots, and it's like the big sniper that has like.
It's a harpoon.
It is a kind of a harpoon, yeah. Feels like a nail gun.
Yeah, this is both sad and kind of cool, but like Japanese whale hunters use explosive harpoons to hunt whales, which is, I think, what that thing is based on.
That seems like it would ruin your catch, though, no?
No, because it's not like the skin and the fat that you like hunt a whale for. They have like pockets of
It's Minecraft logic. You just TNT it, and then all the stuff floats to the top, and you pick it up.
Yeah,
exactly,
exactly.
Okay, got it.
You build an 8x8 iron base with walls, and you have water flowing towards a hole in the center, and then skewers that periodically fire and explode into whales, and all the all the baleen just drips down the chute for you.
The baleens in their teeth. But like French dressmakers would use whale baleen to make the big like wide
those
skirts.
Corsets too. Ambergris. That's another thing that whales have. That's used by perfume makers.
Ambergris. That sounds like amber and gray.
Yeah, it's kind of like
it's amber and grease because it's like kind of a buttery thing, as far as I understand.
Oh, I've had maple butter. I've never had whale butter. Maple butter.
Their milk is very, very rich because I know like whale calves, I think they're called.
Do they have milk?
Quickly.
Yeah, they're mammals.
Of course they have milk.
Do they have udders?
They got titties.
I mean, they got at least 2 nips, yeah.
Oh my god.
Ambergris comes from the Old French ambre jaune, so yellow amber, and then it evolves to Old French gray amber, which is ambergris and ambergris.
Guys, if you
that
ever
wouldn't make any sense. If it's like it's as if the French went colorblind when updating their language.
Yeah, because it is yellow. Like if you see it now, it's more yellow than it is gray. But the old French were like it's gray yellow, and there was some kind of schism amongst the French,
and
where
what you would see
the winning party said no, c'est gris.
Well, that's why we had to kill Marie Antoinette, is because she could see color.
By the way, guys, end of a party night, if you're in like a big group, like I remember like I must have been 20 and we had a huge party. Everyone's falling asleep. There's 3 of us still awake. We're all kind of fucked up on.
You're still wearing a fucking oven mitt?
Yeah. It's just this is my buddy here.
Don't worry about it. He's a sock puppet on his hand for the listeners at home. Don't worry about it.
Which is a great thing to do is turn off all lights. If you've got like a lava lamp or some type of like light show, put that on and just YouTube whale noises and get like a 30-minute whale noise YouTube video and just like sit back, close your eyes, and listen to whales talk because it's beautiful.
I was really hoping you were gonna say and then like wake up people at the party and just be like, the space whales are here. We gotta go. So everybody fucking passed out drunk, just like, we gotta go right now. We don't have time to get your keys, okay?
The night that happened, I had actually lost Ice in the woods. And I had not, I'd just gotten her and she ran away in the woods after deer, and I found her a day later. Anyways, this is so far.
Ice being Jamie's dog.
Yeah.
The interpretation that the Forerunner had of the mantle of responsibility was very different. Like I said, like to become the kind of dictators of the galaxy.
Only want the latest iPhone user to have the mantle of responsibility, basically.
They saw themselves as the latest iPhone user.
Okay, right? Yeah. And they were like hey, if you still own an iPhone 12, you are a fucking piece of shit, okay? You do not deserve to rule the galaxy with an iPhone 12.
I have an 11, so they would absolutely regard me with nothing but disdain.
Oh yeah, you're what scum on the bottom of your shoe shits out, essentially.
Basically, yeah. It's like literal trash tier. They would, however, seed other planets with just enough technology to like make them sufficient or like self-sufficient, but not a threat. So they were like probably carpet bombing other planets with fungus on them to help them evolve with like iPhone 3Gs or iPhone like 4S or whatever.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
You can play Doodle Jump on this one.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Exactly. like every iPhone 4S that still had Flappy Bird on it was dropped out of a spaceship onto like some fucking shithole rock out in the middle in the Kuiper Belt or whatever.
You know what came out early, like iPod era or like mid iPod era, is still very good today. Peggle,
great game. Peggle, great game. It is available on Steam as well. Hey, that came out with the when iPods still had the spin wheel. Definitely realizing for some of our listeners now, this is like completely missing their comprehension of technology. There are some people who listen to the show for sure who are just like, "What is not a touchscreen?" But iPhones used to have like an analog wheel that you had to spin almost.
Yeah.
But before the iPod, it was just like a plastic wheel you had to physically rotate.
Yeah.
Back in my day, I had to spin my wheel to play Peggle, and I'd wait till my friends fell asleep to listen to whale noises.
Yeah, I guess like seeding foreign planets with Peggle and click wheels on iPods ultimately left the galaxy completely unprepared to fight the flood that the Forerunners had inadvertently created by going to war with their creators, the Precursors, who turned into mist.
Are now
right?
flood. So,
Yeah.
And we probably talked about this on the human episode, maybe. But so, did they seed the human planet with life? Are we saying like it is ancient aliens? The pyramid was an iPhone 3 to these Forerunners.
Not to my knowledge.
Okay.
Humanity and the Forerunners went to war, which we have spoken about in previous episodes, because humans are an ancient race. That's why in Halo 3, and it's the term reclaimer, basically, is like the mantle of responsibility was given by the Precursors to humanity, which I assume they created. And they were the less militaristic religious cult than the Forerunners ended up being.
And so the Forerunners wiped themselves out with the Halo rings?
So that's at the end of this one here. So,
Okay. So we haven't got there yet.
Yes, but wait.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, exactly. The Forerunner were like in fact like such huge policy wonks that they built their entire society around the mantle, or like the concept of the mantle of responsibility, which is not like a thing. It's just a philosophical concept that kind of is built around this concept of like called the living time, which is like your interaction with the cosmos. It's very like monk on the Temple Mount sort of thing. Yeah, living time is basically like worshiping the time that you have that is given to you to interact with the space around you.
Yeah, don't dwell on when you tried to exterminate an entire race and drove them to the point where they had to turn themselves into fungal spores that then turned into zombies. Don't dwell on those, okay?
Yeah.
Worship the time that you have.
Yeah. The like out of focus burning candle with the sunset in the background beams from like boomer Forerunner women on their version of Facebook were basically exactly that.
Yeah, okay.
The timeline photos were wild.
Dude, why is that minion meme thing so accurate? Like, I have people at work who are in that age range who like have minion memes in their like goodbye parts of their email. Like, best regards, minion meme, my name. Like, how is it so?
I don't have any of that shit. That sickens me, frankly.
Why is that so?
My mom was
real?
big on that. She's thankfully scaled back her Facebook usage, but my mom was big on minion memes for a long, long time.
Oh my god.
Might still be. I bet she'd still enjoy it if you showed her one. You know what I mean? The internet was a mistake. We've said it before. Okay.
The internet was absolutely a mistake. Facebook.
Okay. Here's a Lore Boys canon for you. We're in an alternate timeline. Okay. And the minions are the Precursors. And the Forerunners realized that they had to exterminate them, right?
Right.
And that's how they eventually sporificate themselves and turn into the flood. And in ours, we see the result of not doing that, right? Which is arguably worse.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. So just somebody write this down because I don't have Notepad open. It's minion flood. Just make that happen. Somebody, whichever one of you fucking people can draw.
Oh, that would be the worst. But that would be so satisfying to peg each one of those little minions into one little eye. Like,
yeah, like the little inflatable head with the goggles on it, while it like it's like bursting through the chest of like a UNSC Marine.
A great out of context Jamie quote is, "It would feel so good to peg each one of those little minions."
in the eye.
When you join Discord, that is the first thing you see.
with a gun, dude. Come on, man.
So there's no segue out of that one.
Oh, despicable me.
The Forerunner divided up their entire society into a caste system called rates. And that's just like RATES. It's not like some stupid Latin meaning or whatever. It's just like straight up like interest mortgage, whatever the fuck.
They're getting to the writers were getting to the bottom of the cool words barrel.
Yeah,
like, what do we
exactly.
Like social credit, like social credit's a little stiff. What do we call it? Like rates or something? Like yeah, sure.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah. Put it in. Game's coming out in 6 weeks. Who gives a shit? These rates, in order of like, we're gonna go now into the caste system, but we're gonna go from like pauper to prime minister, basically. So bottom up. Cool. They were engineer, warrior servant, which is one thing. Juridical, which is just judicial but spelled improperly. And I remember Googling this like with the spell check. Juridical is not.
Yeah, it feels like a portmanteau of like judge and jury, right?
It is, and that is how it is, like how it functions within Forerunner society. But it is not a correct term.
Okay, but juridical is.
Yes, I know. I came to that conclusion earlier today when I was finishing this, and I was just like, why didn't you just do that? Then they have the life workers, who are more like medical scientific staff, miners, and builders. So miner and builder would be the top tier, and then basically that.
Where was stellar engineers? Engineers were on the bottom. We didn't even get one guy who was stellar out of all of them.
Yeah, it's all mediocre engineers.
Well, they're all too fucked up on Mike's Hard Light to really run the government, you know?
Dude, these vodka grapes are real good, though, I gotta say.
Speaking of Mike's Hard Light.
I didn't have any ice cubes left, but I had frozen grapes, so I put them in my drink. Quite good.
I do love that, like, due to circumstance, that like some people have been saying like, man, when you guys used to just like drink yourselves halfway to death and record an episode, we do love that shit, and we were all just like, we are too old and sleepy to have that occur. But
we recording on Monday nights, so it's like,
yeah, exactly.
I'll be
and
up.
now it's just like, whatever, let's go.
We'll make it to work tomorrow. We'll be fine.
Yeah, I work in my bedroom. What the fuck do I care? My first meeting's at 9:30 in the morning. I don't even need to be there.
Exactly.
9:30 in the morning on a Monday, dude. That's ridiculous. My first meeting's at noon. Come on.
Oh, it's because of the time zones. We have one of the creative directors is in London, so it's like the end of his day.
Bastard.
Yeah.
Bloody bell end, as they say over there.
He is the most Italian man I have ever seen in my life. And I think he's a boomer because his webcam is fucked up enough that all of our meetings, he is at like a 40-degree Dutch angle for some reason.
All right, let's hear an impression of him in case your boss ever listens to the podcast.
He is not my boss.
Send him a minion meme.
Send him a minion
meme. Send him a minion meme and find out. Like, okay, if he doesn't respond to the minion meme, that means he's probably a boomer. If he writes back to you saying, "Peter, the fuck is this?" then he's a normal human being, I think.
Yeah,
so.
Exactly.
That's the litmus test.
I'll see if he leaves me on red on my There was a additional caste or rate called the theoretical, which existed only over 1 million years ago, which is the kind of stakes we're working with right now.
Makes sense why they would call them the theoretical.
So the theoretical...
We imposed a social structure on them. We don't know if it's true.
Yeah, which is funny because I thought about that when I was like reading the like Halopedia page. The theoretical are very much in the same way the life workers are the people who do medicine, or the warrior servants are the people who are part of the military. The theoretical were like the philosophers and like the conceptual, like big, like gigantic brained, like whatever, like the 300 IQ cast, basically.
We used to have people who could just think for a living, and then capitalism took over, and we said, you're not really contributing anything to making Jeff Bezos richer. Yeah. When was the last time you took a historic bridge, okay? Like,
honestly, yeah.
Society.
When's the last time you detonated a sun by accident? Yeah. Come on.
Yeah. The last piece of great art was Despicable Me and all those minions, and since then it's all been downhill.
It's all been downhill from there.
Yeah.
So within the theoretical rate, there was a scholar named Boundless. And again, like there's like another problem with the writing here that like I want to kind of gloss over to not like shit on Halo the entire time. The Forerunners' names tend to be pretty boring and very very laser focused descriptive on like what they did. Like Boundless was was like the Galileo of her time, basically. She was thinking too hard, man. Like,
And then there's the other one, live, laugh, love, and
exactly. So live laugh love is pretty much like a Forerunner name.
okay.
Was there a Scaramouche?
I hope so. I mean, there was Scaramouche was on the planet Fandango, which was then destroyed and glassed by the Covenant at
by thunderbolts and lightning. It was very, very
from the
frightening.
Covenant. Yeah, it was very
frightening. Boundless was like part of the theoretical cast, who were like the philosopher kings of the time. But after going on like multiple expeditions that she was told not to do, she was imprisoned in something called a cryptum. And cryptums are the gigantic like chrome orbs that we see in Halo 4. The Didact, like the main villain of that game, is released from a cryptum. Her cryptum was either defective or sabotaged. And then her body was discovered like thousands of years later, rather. And Lore Boys canon, I'm just gonna call it, Boundless didn't kill herself.
Okay.
She
knows foul play.
Yeah.
All right.
got assassinated by the CIA. I got you. I can follow.
Yeah, exactly. The theoretical cast was completely absorbed into the engineer cast, or the engineer rate rather, which is the bottom tier. The engineer is the blue collar cast. They maintain the structures and the machinery that the Ecumen relies on. So all of the space stations, everything that they build. They have no representation in the Forerunner government, which is called the Capital Court.
Capital Court.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like me, as an educated white man from like a big first world city, I know exactly what that means, because the like kind of structural disrespect for laborers is pretty much like part of my DNA as well, really.
You know, they probably they get paid more than all three of us, I'm sure, the laborers in their city. Like the plumbers, the construction workers, all these folks, yeah. Yeah,
like people who go into trades are just like, I think, culturally regarded as like, you know, like bucktooth hicks more than anything.
No, absolutely, yeah.
And the engineer cast in the Forerunner Society is absolutely like at that level, at the point like where like thankfully they have like some version of representation in like our human Canadian government, but
I'll say I look down on engineers way more than I look down on laborers, and the educated people who are sure they know what they are doing, like on a job site. And my brother's a laborer. He works with like the laborers union and all that, but like the educated guy who steps onto a job site and has never like actually built something, I trust way less. Like the guy who studied how to build something for 4 years, I trust way less than the guy who spent 4 years building things.
Well, you check how tough his hands are, right? The like the range of just like soft hands, calloused hands sort of thing.
Exactly.
Well, honestly, I look down on anyone who repairs my sump pump, but I look up to anyone who works on roofing. And I'm not talking just physically. Like,
physically. Yeah.
So, I guess none of us know anybody really who's in the army here, but
I know a lot of people, but
yeah, me too.
I'm good friends with a couple army guys.
Same.
Right.
Canadian army, mind you. So,
of course,
you know,
yeah. The warrior servants are the second lowest rate. They're the military, and they're responsible for defending and like protecting the Forerunner Empire. They're also responsible for defeating ancient humans, because ancient humanity did lose the war against the Forerunner.
Yeah, it's not fair. We didn't have iPhone 3s. Okay.
No, we did not. we only had the iPhone 3s that they gave us, whereas they had iPhone 4S.
Yeah, way faster.
Yeah, and the fucking Precursors had the iPhone 11, So we had to go kill them, and that's why we caused the flood.
Yeah.
The warrior servants have an elite unit within them called the Prometheans, who are led by a Didact. The Forerunner that we gamers would know as the Didact was the villain from Halo 4, and the Promethean Knights are the main enemy within that game. They're kind of like the kind of chrome beetle guys with the swords and the guns and whatnot.
Cool. Yeah.
In the Halo 4 Didact used a device called the Composer to turn organic brains into data, which could then be uploaded into mechanical Promethean Knights, who are like kind of the main force within like Halo 4, but I think primarily in Halo 5, which is the only one that I haven't played. And the process of turning like a human brain or an alien brain or whatever, or like their thoughts into data is called pattern transfer. And that gets uploaded into like a Promethean body to make the mechanical warriors that you end up shooting with guns.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Above the warrior servants were the unpronounceable juridical, or
okay, juridical?
The judicial ones. Yeah, it's the judges. It's judges and lawyers. A rate including judges and lawyers and Jamie's dad, because he's also a lawyer.
He's a lawyer.
Yeah. Along with a crew of evidence gathering Forerunner called the Catalog. So they're kind of the Empire narcs. More
what you said earlier, their names are like so on the nose.
Yeah.
Really didn't sink in until you said like the evidence gatherers are just called the Catalog.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, there's we have Sears, the Sears cast, who issues a catalog every Christmas.
Yes, it's just like one of those like kind of chrome robots with like a cozy red sweater. Aww.
That's cute.
So for things like biology and medicine, there was a life worker rate, which we talked about earlier. They created the mutations that would help other Forerunner focus on their rate. A younger Forerunner lacking a rate is called a manipular. And it's basically they go through like a kind of like a bar mitzvah, like adulthood ritual,
Sure,
where they end up being placed in their own caste or rate. Exactly. They're generally placed into the same rate as their parents. However, that's not always the case socially.
Okay.
Sure.
Yeah.
And they manipulate.
I think manipular probably means like malleable. They're like a blank slate 14-year-old just barely going through puberty, and at some point you can hop them up on mutation drugs to turn them into a killing machine or a narc or a librarian or something like that. Basically,
it's like interviewer, interviewee. They're not manipulator, they're manipular.
Yes. Yeah. Imagine if every time you went into a job interview, you had to be injected with genetic drugs, and how they affected you was really the interview.
I auditioned for the backroom casting couch. I've been there.
I had a casting couch in the early days of the podcast. We got rid of it at some point, but Pete's got some good picks.
Yeah, because the legs fell off.
Oh, when we were playing VR, yeah.
One leg fell off, and then the other leg fell off, maybe.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like it happened in sequence.
Just like this podcast today, the legs are kind of falling off.
Yeah. It's okay. It's almost over. An unmutated Forerunner, like pre-puberty, is called a Form 0, and after their bar mitzvah, they're known as a First Form.
Cool.
So that's the entry level into whatever rate that they.
So they're like Koreans who celebrate their first birthday when they're born, right? And then
is that how
they turn 1 when they're born, and then they turn 2 on what we Westerners would call their first birthday.
Oh, it's like in Europe, every first floor is 0, and every first floor here is 1. We just start
we have RC, which is 0, which is like Rang Chaussee, which I don't really know what that translates to.
Well, maybe the first floor is 0 there then. I can't remember. I just remember being confused on elevators when I was in Europe.
Completely lost. It only goes up and down. I have no idea where I am. But going back to the life workers here, the life worker that we would know again, like through the games, is the librarian, and she is in Halo 4, or part of her is technically. She died over 90,000 years ago, but was preserved as an AI within the Composer's network. I'm not really sure if the like composer crunchitizes people's captains into like a data network or like what the fuck it does, but like there's something that uploads people into the precursors that had like a technological server at some point that is over 1 billion years old, which again is a number so huge it means literally nothing. It might as well just be fucking heaven, but with computers.
Captain Crunch, oops, all hologram people.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Oops, all Prometheans.
Yeah.
This, like for lack of a better word, this thing is called the domain. It's like a server, basically.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
I mean, domain again, an uncreative name.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and like think of a word that you know, and then someone who writes fiction for Halo has, for some reason, attached an empire to it.
Yeah.
There you go. Oh no, the frozen pizza. It's like, oh, what do? Like, oh, they freeze pizza. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
and they've done it for some reason 1 trillion years.
Yeah.
And it's like the span of time is the cool part of Halo fiction, opposed to like anything they do.
Yeah. These are the hopscotchers. They invented counting to 10 and hopping on one foot. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
It's another tangent, but do you guys see that like 3 billion year old diamond that's going on like auction in London this week? It's called the Enigma.
No.
It's completely black, and it's like from us to the dinosaurs is like not even close to halfway for how old this fucking thing is, right?
Well,
Yeah,
no,
it's
if
a
it's 3
billion
billion
years
years old, it's almost older than the planet.
yeah, so they think
it's a billion.
it's called the
I think
it's-
Enigma.
Older than the moon?
Oh, no.
Yeah, it is older than the moon in the thing I
Yeah.
read, and it either came from like primordial Earth, like the whenever it was forming and all the magma, or it was a meteorite that hit. And this thing, and it's like as big as your fist, a diamond that's all pure black, and it's going up for 6 million, which seems like a deal for what this
That
is.
seems super low.
Yeah.
That seems super low for this thing.
I see you pulling up the clip. Did you find it, Ethan? The Enigma?
Yeah, it's listed on Sotheby's, of course.
Yeah.
555.55 carat black diamond.
It's massive. It's massive.
They're usually 2.6 to 3.8 billion years old. So as old as Earth.
Yeah, if I was rich, I would have a lot of blue raspberry Jello and also that thing.
Yeah. Pools of blue raspberry and also this one diamond.
It's just absolutely fascinating.
Jeff Bezos is wasting his time tearing down bridges when he can be buying things older than the planet.
Yeah.
What the fuck are your priorities?
I mean, yeah, I don't think there's a billionaire out there who's creative in any
No.
way. Like,
Yeah, such a cool stone though. Like it just almost
it
like
does
magical.
look very cool.
Yeah.
I mean, the ground that we walk on, if you think about the Canadian Shield, which is like the geologic part of Quebec, Jamie, is like it's all like basalt. It's wildly old. That's why Quebec has no fossils. It like Quebec predates dinosaurs.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm in a basement apartment right now, so I'm in the basalt. This is great.
You're older than a dinosaur officially. But speaking of prehistoric life, let's go.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess
Prehistoric. There's another synonym for precursor.
I'll sprinkle in a little apology for anybody who thought they were going to get information out of this one, but let this hang out. The main life shaper that we would know from Halo 4 is the librarian. She's actually personally responsible for like spearheading what is called the conservation measure, which is why there is still sentient life in the Milky Way after the Forerunners had fired off the Halo rings, like when they were very clearly losing the war with the Flood. The conservation measure was the multi-thousand-year project that aimed to preserve life on the Ark, which you go to in Halo 3, and in some cases, like other Halos, they had little like genetic Yeah, it's like the shaving cream from Jurassic Park, basically. They had little,
Okay.
yeah, they had little like,
samples.
yeah, exactly, little samples of life, and they used the like digitizing thing that the composer does as well to like save sentient life and other things. Animals, I guess, are spared because they're not sentient.
They're not smart enough. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like what the Halo does to like do your IQ test and see if you can make tools or whatever before it, I don't know, atomizes you to save you from the flood is unknown and not explained because like having the Halos kill sentient life is like both broad and undefined. So
I gotta say, when I delivered that dough on the side of the road, or when I delivered that fawn on the side of the road, and there was a rainbow, and all those people pulled over and they clapped. I did realize in that moment that creature, while beautiful, was not intelligent enough to be worthy of being eradicated.
Right.
No,
if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm going to see where they're coming from here.
A pitiable, slimy little beast being delivered.
Exactly.
Overall, though, they didn't really have the time or the resources during all these fucking wars that the Forerunner wanted to wage against. From what it seems, like from people who build like it's like, oh no, we need to make a conservation effort. They really did spend hundreds of thousands of years going to war with literally anything that breathed. So they were lacking resources when it came to the conservation project. In the end, 123 technologically capable species were preserved, either as living specimens that were just like placed on safe planets, or as indexes, which is quite literally like it's like an external hard drive filled with the composer data that someone would be evaporated into.
It's like the seed library in Sweden or whatever, where they have like all the different seeds from like however millions of different flora.
I was picturing like my elementary school library where you pull out and you have all the cards that refer to all the books, but they're just like
a Dewey Decimal System.
There's like butterflies squashed between them, and you like peel it open, like, oh, that's one species. Here's another.
She is excuse me. The 123 species that were saved were really kind of like scattered out and mostly placed on their own home worlds. Like humans were put back on Earth, and then like the other kind of races that we know from Halo were put back on their own respective planets. But it was very kind of like a guerrilla operation. They were very much like the speaking of whaling, what's that boat that goes out and like sprays water into the chimneys of like whaling ships?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Oh no. All I was thinking is because there's 123 species, and if you want to figure out which one you are, you write into 123 and me and spit into a bottle, and I'll tell you which one you are. I've never heard of that. The whaling ship crusade?
It's like the sea something. There was like an Animal Planet show about it. Doesn't matter.
Cool.
About a ship that sprays down the chimneys of whaling ships?
Oh, it's a sea shepherd. Yeah. Never mind.
He's like a hero. He's saving all those whales from the 8x8 Minecraft farms.
Yeah, no. It's like there's like Japanese whaling ships out there, and the Sea Shepherd goes out and harasses them basically, and they have like a pump that sucks out ocean water, and they blast it out of a cannon into their smokestacks to flood their engines.
That's
gotcha.
Sweet.
Okay, I thought you were saying it was like a cleaning service for whaling ships or something. I was so confused. But they're
no, they're activists.
Eco-terrorists.
Like Greenpeace. They're eco-terrorists. Exactly. Yeah.
That's my favorite kind of like people trying to bring peace to the planet. It's just people fucking with other people.
That's hell yeah, dude.
So great.
You got to have some fucking rules, man. I'm all for it.
I mean, you're saving whale lives, but you're also just fucking over people. So it's like,
but you're just like blasting soy milk into like a whaling ship, and you're just like at what cost? The librarian is responsible for also imprisoning her husband, who is the didact, within his cryptum, and then you eventually like release him by accident and fight him in Halo 4. So he is married to her, but she's been dead for 90,000 years, and it lives on as an AI within the fucking metaverse or some shit.
She was his Cortana, and she was hot for teacher.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. It's whoever that woman was that Van Halen was writing about. It's a librarian from Halo 4.
So it's the librarian from Halo 4 who is literally hot for teacher. Gotcha.
Yeah.
No problem.
I brought my pencil. Give me something to write on, baby. I listened to that song like this week. Very good.
Jamie and I were in a band in high school that played that song.
Yep.
I'm not a big fan of Van Halen, but like some of it's good.
It was the first concert I ever went to. Was Van Halen.
I saw we went together with David Lee Roth. One of the last times he toured. Yeah.
Yep.
Very cool.
Holy shit.
There you go.
I guess the final performance before she died it's really just a legend. The librarian allegedly died on Earth looking up at the snow-covered peak of Mount Kilimanjaro. Since it was written after the good Halos, I'm gonna say they put her there just because Kilimanjaro is one of the streaks you can go on. If you kill if you just kill 10, because obviously we're talking about like double kill.
That's what the announcer says that into your ear when you're on a 8-person kill streak or whatever.
Exactly, it's like double kill, triple kill, like overkill, whatever the fuck they all are, and Kilimanjaro is one of them. And clearly the person who wrote this, and as we've kind of like stumbled through this entire time, it's all bad. The librarian died at Kilimanjaro. Is
any idea where whenever you like win a game dominantly, like you don't let them capture a flag, or you like kill them like in 5 minutes and they barely kill you, it's a steak-tacular. Where does that come from? Why steak?
Well, it's the other African volcano, which is Mount Steak-tacular.
That's like a dominating victory. If you shut your opponent down completely, it's called steak-tacular, and I don't get it. But anyways,
yeah.
I couldn't say I get it either.
Yep.
I don't get it either.
It's a skunk where I come from.
It's a steak-tacular.
Yeah, well, when you beat somebody and they don't, like, if you win in beer pong and they don't sink a cup, you skunk them. Or same with foosball or air hockey or whatever.
Yeah.
Same.
As we see in Halo 3, the arc that we talked about earlier is located outside of the galaxy, and this is again part of the like Life Worker project. It was spared from the firing of the Halo arrays. The life shapers that were on the arc began the process of reintroduction after firing the Halos, which is like reseeding the sentient species onto their homeworlds, which we mentioned again a couple of minutes ago. The librarian gave up her title to a life shaper named Chant to Green, which is all like hyphenated, just like some other Forerunner lady, who had accompanied her on multiple expeditions, including one to the large Magellanic Cloud, which is like a real part of the Milky Way galaxy named after Magellan.
Okay.
So, despite being wiped out, the Forerunner still left behind multiple planet-sized structures like Onyx, which is the subject of a book. It's made entirely out of Sentinels, which are like automated robots, and Requiem, which is the setting of Halo 4. And, of course, all of the Halos, which had been like kind of like an unintended consequence because they decided to suicide during the war against the Flood.
Right.
Some of the reintroduced sentient species began to revere them as gods, which was like another problem. Specifically, this is the San Shayum and the Sangheili, which we talked about in the Covenant episode. And those are the hierarchs and the elites, respectively.
Okay, Jamie, what if you die and you go to heaven and God tells you that he died in a pool of Jello? How do you react?
I'll be like, how'd you get your job, man? What am I gonna do around here, eh? But
be you.
I honestly, like, I've thought about pool of Jello since I was a young kid, and only now do I think it's probably really lethal. Like, I don't think I'd float in Jello. I think I'm denser than Jello.
You can't climb out of it. Like, your fingers would go through it.
Yeah.
It depends how you enter. Like, I think you could lie on Jello. You know what I mean? If you're really careful and soft.
No, if I'm going,
spread out.
I'm swan diving. Like, if I'm doing it, I'm swan diving. But
you're going down then. You're going down. But if you can reach the bottom of the pool, you could just stand up, you know?
But then how do you breathe? It's Jello left to and
Well,
right.
you just, like, rotate and launch yourself out, right?
I either need a really long straw or a rope around my waist that one of you guys could pull me out.
We both said we're not pulling you out.
That's not
If you're
fair.
jumping in, you're jumping in on your own, man.
Okay, how much money do I need to get a pool of Jello and also friends that'll pull me out?
Yeah. Put a price on
Well, our
friends like
last
that.
estimate was $80, and I'm gonna say 150.
It's got to be more expensive than that, man. I don't know how many Jello, because like, I'll do the math off stream, but like, it's got to be it's gonna be at least a couple $1,000 to get a pool of Jello, and then you already own a pool and you have the setup and everything. But
There's no way. Anyway, we don't got to talk about this on
We will argue about this in.
There's
5
a
minutes,
lot
but
of
we're
liquid in a pool.
almost done about with the Forerunner, so we can argue about this afterwards.
There's a lot of liquid in a pool, like a lot of liquid, and like probably one packet of Jello or one box of Jello, like hooks you up for like 4 liters of water. How many liters in a pool? Like,
so I'm looking up right now. How many liters are in my pool? So we want a 5-foot average depth. That feels fair, right? Round.
Well, we don't.
Well, I don't.
I mean, if he dove in and broke his neck, that'd be a fucking wasted Jello.
I wanna be able to-
It's got to be deep, right?
Yeah, give me a deep end. Give me like at least a 10-footer.
Oh, I didn't realize. I thought you were talking about just like an above ground pool.
No, I want to be able to dive in and not stand up.
Okay, you want like an Olympic-sized pool?
Well, not Olympic, but I want to have a deep end on my pool so I could dive in and like I don't want to be able to stand up in the Jello and not fully sink in. You know, I'm taller than 5 feet.
10 feet deep
Yeah.
by 10 foot by 10 foot.
When did you switch oven mitt hands, Jamie?
I've been rotating, keeping the warmness on each hand. I just bought an oven mitt today, so I'm wearing it in.
Oh, you're breaking it in. Yeah,
Yeah.
It fucking sucked if I was like dragging out a pizza and got blisters, right? Fuck my day up.
Okay. We can do this pool thing. I got a great table up. We can do this pool thing off air. Let's finish
Hell yeah.
let's finish the Forerunner. So
Let's kill it.
I'm telling you, like, it's got to be at least $1,000.
I'm going to tell you right now, it's in a 10 foot by 10 foot by 10 foot pool. It'd be 283 liters. So like you're way high. You're way high, dude.
Dude, my
This
dreams
is
just got
this is
so
super
much.
doable.
My dreams
This
are
is
so much
super doable.
closer. Oh my god. Okay, all right.
We can drown you in a pool of Jello. Very, very, and like not bankrupt ourselves doing it. Okay.
Great. I'm honestly today is a good day. All right.
Next thing I know, fucking Jello's gonna be like building up in my sump pump area for some reason. I'm gonna fucking have to call Jamie. What have you done?
Honestly,
Man, I mean,
might be able to get a sponsor from Jello. Like we do have a platform.
I think they're owned by Kellogg or something.
We'll reach out to Dr. Ecker or whatever and be like, hey, I want to fucking kill myself in your product. What will you pay us to? Will you fucking pay me to do it?
I mean, he's qualified. He's a doctor. He'll do it.
Yeah, just put a smiling blue raspberry on my casket and we'll be fine.
Yeah.
Just chiseling into the stone.
Everyone gets a Jello cup at the funeral. Don't worry.
Jello shots at the
And
party.
a Jello shot at the after party.
Yeah, beautiful. I love that you guys both called a wake an after party.
Kind of is.
It is. You're not
It's an
wrong.
afterlife party.
When I die, you best be having fun, because I do not want you guys being sad for too long, because that is a waste of fucking time.
Yeah,
I'm
no.
done.
More than an hour and a half. That's we've overdone the grieving.
Yeah. Try for 90 minutes. Who gives a shit? Like, what am I gonna do? Be sad about it?
No, exactly.
But finally now, I know this whole episode's been like a bit of a mess, but we did have that interruption there. At the tippy top of this is really one for the fans, I guess. At the tippy top of the caste system, or the rates, are both mortgage interest and the builders. This rate is responsible for the construction of most of the Forerunner structures that we all recognize, all of their spaceships, all of their weapons, everything, and obviously the Halo array, which is the thing that we're going to end on here. Originally, about 98,000 years ago, under the supervision of the Master Builder, who is like the castiest caste of all the castes, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Named Faber, 12 Halos were set up, with the intention of course, being some kind of like mutually assured destruction, like deterrent weapon that was set up.
Okay.
After some refinement, 6 younger, sexier Halos were constructed, and 11 of the old, washed-up Cougar Halos were decommissioned, leaving us with the 7 Halos that we become aware of within like the original
The
game.
series. Yeah.
I thought there was
Exactly.
9 though, right?
So I have also heard that, but today, like when like finishing up the script and like doing the research, it is like installation 07 or whatever is the one the original Halo is on. There's installation 03, and then there's like Zeta Halo, whatever the fuck that means, and Infinite and
Okay, so maybe we'll say Lore Boys canon. Faber was a fan of cock rings. Forerunners have 2 penises. Those are the 8th and 9th Halos.
yes,
Okay. Double
Cool.
barrel.
I'll
Double
take
barrel.
that.
Yeah, that's what you call a double barrel.
Yeah. This is a cock ring that looks like little handcuffs. You're just like, the rest of the war with the flood like was covered in our episode about the flood. Like thankfully like the Forerunner kind of blend into the entire thing. They had gained the upper hand against the Forerunner, and after convincing the AI called the Mendicant Bias, the flood kind of took over the orbital defense systems that the Forerunner had in place and turned the weapons like they turned the planetary weapon system against them because they had taken over one of their AIs. After 2/3 of the Forerunner Ecumen was taken over by the flood, and they lost the capital of Maithrillion and all of its sick half pipes. The Forerunners finally like sent out their remaining politicians outside of the galaxy to live on the Ark and fire the Halo rings. It was just like kill everybody, pull the plug. We will reseed when necessary. The Halos were obviously, like we had mentioned before, were designed to kill off the food source of the flood rather than kill the flood itself, which
Right.
in writing retrospect, I guess, for me, is stupid. Because it also didn't work, and all this fiction was written after the first game came out when we already know that the Flood were stored on the Halos for scientific reasons, and also, like, released accidentally by the Covenant.
Yeah, I mean, like you can you can say, which I'm sure we've goofed on in a previous episode where I'm not remembering that. Like, hey, they probably shouldn't have stored them. Like, don't take anthrax and just keep it in your pantry.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like understanding the threat of it and like building to responses to that can make some sense. But it does really seem like they got lightning in a bottle with Halo 1 and they miraculously held on to it for like two sequels.
And Reach. I like Reach a lot.
But I don't know the story of Reach at all, and I'm talking purely story wise here. But like just from what you've told me about all these other things, it really does feel like they should have just moved on to a new series and rebranded or whatever, and done this storyline in its own little bottle, and see if it's lightning. But
yeah, we're probably like 5 Halo games way beyond where
we're all drunk and very confident that we could make a video game with an awesome story and it would be amazing. Yeah. But these guys clearly bungled it and are a bunch of freaking dum-dums.
From where I'm standing, dude, the Halo multiplayer feels cool as hell. I like the way I move. I like the way I shoot. I haven't played the campaign yet, but game fun. Maybe lore not great, but game fun. Yeah.
Yeah,
maybe not entirely. Maybe it was set up because they were told like you guys need to make a Halo sequel in 18 months and figure it out. How about that?
Exactly. Yeah. We're not going to pay the writers either, just so you know.
Yeah. But that's the Forerunner. We got a little bit interrupted there. We got a little bit off the rails, but I didn't want to do this anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah. He's brought up the fact that my basement flooded and got off the rails, but we started this and we were like pre-sound check. He was like, if you guys want to get super drunk and like take us off the rails, by all means, go for it. So
yeah, exactly.
Sure, me and Jamie might have leaned into it a little too hard, but listen, right? Thanks for listening, everybody. If you like the show, make sure to leave us a review and or tell your friends about it and or join the Discord. There's links in the description of this episode. Pete, is there anything you want to be plugging this week?
At Lore Boys Podcast on Instagram. I recently got a WhatsApp from my publisher who was just like, hey, we don't know if it's going to be legal, but we are aiming for Comic-Con in July 2022. So I have started doing some work on that book that I keep threatening people with.
Nice.
Yeah,
Very exciting.
I finished my layouts. I need to do some inking, but I'm like lazy and I have no idea what I'm doing. So those are like two like really bad.
Guys, sure, inhibiting factors.
Guys, remember how I spilled a drink on my mouse earlier? Now, whenever I just click into the chat, I have a mouse button that corresponds to 1. It just sends ones over and over again.
Man, that is pog. Dude.
Yeah, I think I got to dry this mouse out a little bit. All right.
Oh, I see. There's a lot of ones in our shared chat here.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Very exciting.
But yeah, I mean, if you want to hang out, Discord's the place to do it. We spend a lot of time there. You can request things that we might do justice to, and maybe sometimes we'll just get fucked up and ruin it. And
yeah,
that's pretty nice.
Yeah,
the gamble that you take.
Finny, we know you're going to reach out, so please do send us your wallet text. Thanks so much for listening, everybody. If you want to support the show financially, we do have a Patreon, patreon.com/theloreboys. And if you don't trust Patreon, we of course have Lore Boys Prime. Now we're obviously funding two things here. We're funding Jamie's Jello goal with Lore Boys Prime, but we've realized now that it's very attainable. So we also want to buy Jamie a couple more sock puppet oven mitts. So make sure to
stretch goals, baby. Let's go.
Make sure your pennies, your farthings, your shillings into the Lore Boys HQ. And just write a message on whatever you have at hand, basically saying whether you want to support mitts or Jello. It's mitts or Jello. Those are the only two options in life, some would say. Yep. And I think that would constitute a Lore Boys.
Lore Boys.
Out.
I can't click it because my mouse is unplugged.
A Lore Boys, I gotta pee.
Hello, my name is James, and today I went to 4 businesses, and I needed a Vax Pass for 3 of them. The only one I didn't need it for was A&W, and they didn't even ask for my ID, and I got the teen burger when I'm 30. So, get fucked.
My name is Ethan. I went to a store, and they were about to ask for my Vaxi code, my Vax Pass, but I just told them that I wear chastity and walked into the store anyway. I'm not a risk to anyone but myself.
My name's Peter. I did not have a Vax Pass adventure today. I just went to the grocery store, which you're still allowed into. But I did put hand sanitizer on my winter gloves, and I don't know if that's insane.
That's a little insane.
It was just the ritual because the cashier was fucking looking at me. Like,
I was looking.
Like, I'm not gonna walk past the squirter, right? Like she's right there. Like what?
Yeah. I was looking at the A&W menu today, and I realized I don't fit in. I'm not an uncle. I'm not a mama, papa, teen, and there's no confirmed bachelor burger. So like, what am I supposed to do there?
Yeah, I can't believe you're like such a rebel where you're eating at A&W where you're not like a mama, papa, teen, or a double.
A&W. So A&W introduced the Beyond Meat Burger. You need the Beyond Familial Structures Burger.
Yeah, exactly. The confirmed bachelor burger where it's just a bunch of mayo between 2 buns.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's a teen burger from yesterday that the restaurant will microwave for you.
Exactly.
You get a sock as a napkin. Like.
Sock as a napkin.
Yeah, well, they'll give you most of a roll of toilet paper that you can use to like wipe your mouth with.
There you go.
It's just like, I ran out of paper towels.
Yeah, I never have paper towels.